Hi everyone. So yesterday we entered the mandala of the five Buddhas, and I talked yesterday about Akshobhya, who is the blue Buddha of the East and of dawn, and who transforms the poison of hatred or aversion into the mirror-like wisdom, the wisdom that clearly sees things as they actually are. And today I'm going to be saying a bit about the golden yellow Buddha, Ratnasambhava, the Buddha of the South, who transforms pride. So, how are we affected by pride? Well, one of the ways is that we spend a lot of our time comparing ourselves with others. We compare ourselves in terms of whether we're better, whether we're inferior, or whether we're the same. And that goes for us in all sorts of ways. So around what we look like, how intelligent we are, how accomplished we are in various ways. All the time we're finding out where on the spectrum are we in relation to other people. And sometimes Buddhism also talks about things like the pride of youth and the pride of health. And I've been very struck actually by the pride of health in the last few days, with people feeling perhaps, some people feeling a bit invincible, like, oh yes, everybody else gets ill, but I don't get ill, you know. Yes, that's a very extreme expression of pride, feeling like we have control and that we can stop ourselves getting the coronavirus or stop ourselves getting ill. So some people are definitely ignoring some of the advice about social distancing or looking after themselves. So there's the pride of health and the pride of youth. And of course, a lot of younger people, unless they've got underlying health issues, are going to only get the virus in a very mild way. So it would be easy to kind of build up selfishness around that and feeling those feelings of invincibility coming to the fore. But in everyday life, we have a lot of pride just because we are self-absorbed. The world seems to revolve around us, and I mean, no wonder we're looking out of our own eyes. We're centred within our own body, and yes, it's easy to care for loved ones and people close to us, but actually it's much harder to have a broader perspective. But I've noticed something interesting over the last few days with my metta bhavana practice, and that is that that people actually feel closer to me. I found myself thinking about and sending metta to, and feeling a lot of warmth towards people that I see at the centre. I don't know them, some of them particularly well, but they've just been coming to mind, and I've been wondering about how they're getting on. How they're faring at this difficult time, and thinking of people that are maybe having to self-isolate because of their health, or looking after children, or disabled people, looking after disabled children and people that it's not going to be easy for at all. And of course thinking about friends as well, close friends. Everybody out there really that I know, they've just become much more vivid in my thoughts and in my heart. So the wisdom of Ratnasambhava is the wisdom of equality, the wisdom of equality. So as we know from doing the metta bhavana, particularly in that neutral stage, we know that actually we share so many of our experiences, of our emotions with everybody else. And seeing that clearly does help bring us much closer, feeling more interconnected with with everybody. You know, it's not just us that suffers from this or that. It's not just us that wants wants an easier life. You know, wants pleasure rather than pain, and so on. You know, it's everybody. It's absolutely everybody. And at this time, we can particularly think about people's individual circumstances. I mean, I'm really appreciating how fortunate, how really fortunate I am, um, to be well at this time. You know, to not be in a very much older age group, although I'm certainly not in a young group by any means. Um, and you know, really grateful for having a large garden and the sun's out. You know, I can step outside without bumping into people. So a lot of gratitude really, um, and that sense of equality, that wisdom of equality. If we can really make use of that at the moment, it can allow us to open our hearts to a much wider range of living beings than perhaps we usually do. And also, I think it can also connect us a lot to the planet, to all the resources that we take for granted that actually are around us, and you know that although we take for granted, we can't necessarily rely on. So you know, like a lot of our foodstuffs, they come from abroad. Maybe some of those borders will be closed, and we'll have to learn to enjoy a much narrower range of foods than we used to. And I feel quite excited about that actually. I feel like we do take so much for granted, being able to have exactly what we want. So, yes, in a way, it's encouraging us to embrace simplicity and contentment. You know, can we really do that? Can we be happy um, with life being much more simple and not being able to have everything that we want when we want it? I think it could teach us all to be much less selfish, um, much less reliant on such an elaborate lifestyle in a way. Uh, and that simplification can only be a good thing. So the beautiful Ratnasambhava, he sits in meditation posture and his right hand is resting on his right knee, and within his palm he holds a wish fulfilling jewel. And that wish fulfilling jewel is available to all of us, but it's not a jewel in the usual way that we think of a jewel. It's not about getting rich or having more. It's about finding the jewel of the Dharma. So it's the Dharma that can really help us. It isn't riches, it isn't having more, it isn't getting what we want. It's actually relaxing into how things actually are, to letting go of our pride in ourselves, and contemplating that wisdom of equality. So I hope you're all keeping well. I'll leave it there for today, and yeah, bye for now.